of the day has been completed here, that being the floor exercise, and it was very close competition, but this young man, 19-year-old from the Soviet Union, Rustam Sharipov, with a score of 9.75, winning that first rotation, the floor exercise. We're going to move across town right now here in Salt Lake City to the Salt Palace, and with this getting set for our second rotation here in the competition. And working alongside me, Bart Connor.
Glad to be here, Roger. Our first competitor on floor exercise, Karsten Oelsch from East Germany, is getting ready to mount. And as you mentioned, in the first rotation, we saw some terrific performances. This is a very deep field, strong field of competitors. He opens with a very clean, full-in double back. Just to emphasize who else will be competing in the competition today, let's take a look at some of our favorites. First of all, Lance Ringnald is here from the United States, currently ranked 6th in the world in World Cup standings. Also from East Germany, this is Sylvio Kroll, perhaps the most experienced competitor internationally here. He's a former world champion in the vault. And a young man from the Soviet Union, 19-year-old Rustam Sharipov, who's really a very dynamic performer, has blown us away with his difficulty, and he was exciting on the floor exercise already, so I'm sure he'll be fun to watch for the rest of the day.
He did. He had a 9.75, just edging Mike Racanelli of the United States, who had a 9.70. And for a moment, they thought there was a tie there, but there was a correction in the scoring. This is Karsten Oelsch of the European team and East Germany. He's 19 years of age. This is not his... Yeah, I was just going to say, high bar is his favorite routine.
Although his floor exercise routine wasn't the most difficult one being done, his tumbling was very high.
So Karsten Oelsch has completed his floor exercise. And hi, once again, everybody. Along with Bart Connor, I'm Roger Twibel here in Salt Lake City. What about this competition today? Do you have a couple of favorites or someone we can keep an eye out for, Bart?
Well, there's no question that two Americans look very strong here, both Lance Ringnald and Mike Racanelli. Mike got off to a terrific start on floor. Lance was a little shaky. He went flying out of bounds on his laid-out double backflip. In fact, took 2 steps off the floor. This is a very springy floor exercise, Matt, and who knows, maybe the light air is also giving him a little more air time here.
Well, I wouldn't know, but I understand they're hitting the golf ball. A lot of the judges have been out playing the last couple of days, and they've been telling us that the air is light here. Let's take a look right now as the first rotation we mentioned was completed, and this is the young man from the Soviet Union, Rustam Sharipov.
Notice the power in his tumbling. He opened with a laid-out double backflip with very clean form. But coming up right here was certainly one of the most exciting passes I've seen in a long time. He's going to do a triple twist and continue out of it through to a punch front 1 1/4. And watch these positions in the flare. Good extension. Now watch, he's going to crank that up to a handstand, continue to pirouette, and then back down to the flares. That's tough stuff.
By the way, a 9.35 for Karsten Oelsch, who we saw just a moment ago, and Oelsch with the 9.35. That's Sharipov right there. Now, we go to Emzar Puntashashvili on the pommel horse.
Emzar has really very nice long body extension. One of the keys in this event is to have terrific elevation over the horse. Notice he's not even using the palms. Oh! I don't know what happened there. He was doing a very difficult combination in the flares as he traveled back across the horse. The pommel horse is a very difficult event because you're switching from one hand to the next constantly. Any slight fault and you could end up on the ground just as he did. Unfortunate mistake. He'll have to lose 5/10 of a point for falling off. Otherwise, it would have been a terrific exercise.
And he made a mistake in the floor exercise also, so he's gotten off to kind of a shaky start. We're going to return with more, including American Lance Ringnald, in our coverage of the gymnastics from Salt Lake City, Utah. And we welcome you back to Salt Lake City. You're looking at Lance Ringnald from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Lance is not really a superstitious kind of person, but he does have a few little phobias, and Bart Connor was able to talk to him about those.
I'd take a certain amount of steps up to the pommel horse. Really stupid things like you have to be a little behind the rings, before you jump up. Just some things like that. When I was real little, I was real bad. It was like I had to rub like 3 times on my side of my legs. I had to salute and hold the salute for just an amount of time. Those just, I grew out of those quite a bit. Now it's just gymnastics.
Well, now it is just gymnastics for Lance, and he's getting ready to go on the pommel horse. I know you didn't have any superstitions, did you, Bart?
Actually, I had to stare at the blue part of the American flag all throughout the national anthem and concentrate on that for me to have a good meet. Pretty weird stuff. Oh!
Goodness.
Lance was working a very difficult combination traveling across the horse without the use of the pommels, and that is really a very fluky thing that just happened. Probably his hand just slipped because his position looked like he was right over the top of the horse.
A moment ago, we saw Emzar Puntasashvili of the Soviet Union scored 9.05 when he fell.
Lance has a very difficult routine. In fact, almost every event he maxes out with difficulty. That was a beautiful handstand there, but a little sloppy coming in. It's important to never break rhythm on the pommel horse. It's a very smooth flowing event.
Score for Scott McDonald on floor exercise was 9.40.
So Lance Ringnald had some trouble with the floor exercise. Now he's had some trouble with the pommel horse.
He's just a little shaky today. He overdid it on floor exercise, and then on pommel horse, it looked to me like it was certainly
reaching
just
for a little too much, maybe, Bart?
Fluky thing. No, he's used to really pouring on the difficulty. Let's see what happens here. His left hand looks good. I see. His right hand was on fine. His left hand clipped the pommel as he was reaching over the top of it. And, of course, typical for Lance, he's really maxing out with difficulty, and those kinds of things tend to happen when you're really doing the big-level tricks.
Well, that's Lance Ringnald here in Salt Lake City today at the Huntsman Center. Yesterday, we had some great competition with the young women in gymnastics, and especially a young lady from Tempe, Arizona by the name of Sandy Woolsey. She was just terrific in her performance yesterday. As a matter of fact, Sandy did so many wonderful things, won a gold medal in the vault, a silver in the bars, floor, and all around, and a bronze in the balance beam. And she talked about
Sandy, congratulations on a terrific performance. You win a medal in every event, but you just got edged out in the all-around competition. Tell me what you were thinking when you saw Chushovitina's performance and you knew you had to beat that.
Well, I really wasn't paying attention to anyone else competing because I'm not competing to beat anyone. And I did really well for myself, and it's good preparation for Goodwill Games, and I was really happy at how I did.
Now, you have such an even temperament. You never seem to get too uptight. Most gymnasts are pretty nervous pacing the gym. How do you keep it together?
Well, I think when you get nervous, it doesn't help your performance at all. And you do so many routines in the gym, this is just one more time. And this is something that you want to show to the crowd and have fun while you're doing it.
Well, congratulations on a great competition.
Thank you. I had fun.
She missed the all-around gold by 5/100ths of a point to that young lady, Oksana Chusovitnya of the Soviet Union. And we'll be back with Sylvio Kroll in a moment.
Of the U.S. Olympic Cup continues. Let's go back to gymnastics and Roger Quidel.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Salt Lake City. Sylvio Kroll will be next to perform. By the way, Lance Ringnald with a score of 8.90 on the pommel horse, Bart.
And there's no question that 8.9 will completely bounce him out of the contention in the all-around. Sylvio uses a very interesting mount. That's a double side somersault. Quite unusual. One of the things I like about Kroll is he has terrific style.
He's 25 years old. He's one of the older gymnasts we're seeing here from East
And I
Germany.
think going along with that experience that he has, he's very comfortable. He's a good performer, not just a good competitor, but he tends to perform his routines and present them to the judges and to the audience, not just go through the movements. He was a finalist in the most recent World Championships on floor exercise. Front to a double back, tuck double back, very clean. That move there, the scale position, is a requirement. The judges need to see a balance on either one foot or one hand. Here's his fourth and final tumbling run, a tuck double back. Nicely done.
For the European team from East Germany, Sylvio Kroll. Floor exercise.
Sylvio used a very interesting second tumbling run, a front step out, through to a tuck double back, and this was his final run, which is a round-off flip-flop and a terrific reach. Notice how high he is as he finishes the tuck double back and actually kicks out a little bit.
What are you concentrating on, Bart, when you're doing that?
Well, there's no question at the end of a routine, it's very difficult with endurance to get standing up very quickly so you can get up and over for the tuck double back. He stood up very strong, and of course it was a big finish.
So that's Sylvio Kroll. of East Germany, and his score a 9.65 as we move to the pommel horse, and Mike Racanelli of the United States from Ohio State University, where he was the Athlete of the Year this year.
Mike opened up with a terrific combination on one pommel. He's showing excellent one pommel sequences. Here's his flares as he travels across the horse without the pommels. Very clean. Notice there was a minor break there. He seemed to slow down the rhythm too much. That will be a slight deduction from the judges. It's important that they never stop on the pommel horse. Flares to the end. And a clean routine.
Good effort from the native of West Babylon, New York, and Ohio State University. The music you hear in the background is just background music that's being played through the competition. So Racanelli had a good floor exercise at 9.70, and now he's come back with a nice pommel horse.
And that was a little bit of a shaky event because pommel horse is certainly the most nerve-wracking event for any gymnast because, as we've seen with others in the competition, one slight error and you fall off before you even knew what happened. Notice the tremendous lift over the horse as he flares and goes all the way to the handstand. A slight break there in the rhythm will be at least 1/10 of a point deduction. And a
Right
little
there on that
sloppy
move,
as he
yeah.
slowed down to come into the single leg work, the scissors, which is, of course, another requirement, something the judges need to see. But he picked back up into the flares and finished very strongly. Without the pommels, he traveled to the end, handstand, and a full pirouette off.
That's the impressive thing, that after that long routine, he did have a little slight maybe stumble in the middle, but he finished very strongly and cleanly at the end. And the judges are taking, Bart, now a little bit of time. Now, why would this take so long? And we've had some other scores that just, come up like that.
Well, perhaps the judges aren't in agreement on whether he fulfilled the combination requirements. The judges need to see several complex elements on the pommel horse. They need to see a move which is a three-hand placement on one pommel. They need to see a scissor. They need to see an element on each section of the horse. And I think the judges are just reviewing that everyone was on the same page.
And 9.60 is the score for Mike Racanelli. So a 9.7 on the floor exercise, 9.6 on the pommel horse. And Mike Racanelli in real good shape here in Salt Lake City in the men's gymnastics competition. Right now, let's go back to New York and Frank Gifford.
Thank you, Roger, and a quick update in World Cup action today. Defending champion Argentina advanced to the quarterfinals with a 1-0 victory over Brazil. It was Argentina's first ever victory over Brazil in World Cup play. Today's U.S. Olympic Cup cycling competition.
To listen. Listen not only to what our clients say, but what they mean.
I have a vision about retirement.
Each client has a level of comfort.
You know me. I'm a planner.
There is no greater dividend a firm can earn than the confidence of its clients.
Help me make some good decisions.
There are many ways to measure success.
We measure success.
Of Utah in Salt Lake City, this young man from the Soviet Union, Rustam Sharipov, 19 years of age, a junior world champion.
Sharipov is using a new style of vaulting that's only been allowed in men's competition since the '88 Olympic Games. It's taken from women's gymnastics. It's the Yurchenko style of vaulting. Watch, he'll do a round off onto the board. And a laid out back with a full twist off. Very nicely done. Now, the women have been doing this vault since 1983 when Yurchenko from the Soviet Union invented it. I saw a Soviet guy try it in 1981, and he almost killed himself, so they outlawed it. It's very, very risky, but very exciting if it's done well, and that certainly was very well done.
And we're going to move from the vault and Sharipov right there and go to the results of the pommel horse. And the final results look like this. Kroll of Germany, 9.65, and then the silver tie between Racanelli of the United States and Menendez of Cuba, both 9.60. So Racanelli, who got off to a pretty good start here today. And here's a look at Sylvio Kroll in the pommel horse.
Sylvio really has good-looking style because you can notice the long extension in the legs, good body line. Notice the perfect toe point. That's critical on pommel horse. There's a move as he travels to the end called a Russian travel up to a handstand and a clean dismount. That's your winner on pommel horse.
By the way, Sharipov with a 9.50 for Rustam Sharipov. There's Sylvio Kroll, the gold medalist in the pommel. Racanelli also with the silver in the floor as we get set for the Canadian Sean Jakerin. 20 years of age. You were going to say that Mississauga, Ontario, weren't you, Bart? Look at the shot from overhead. That's terrific, isn't it?
This is really a good opportunity to see how difficult it is to maintain the rings, keep them still. Of course, the gymnast has to do swing elements, but when they hit the handstands, they have to freeze the rings, and you can see he's swinging a little bit. Each complete swing will be 1/10 of a point deduction. Very difficult after a move like that, which is a double whippet, a double front within the rings, to then freeze the rings and hold the handstand. He's having a little trouble with those. His dismount, a full twisting double and short on the landing.
So that was the Canadian, Sean Jakerin. But let's go back a moment ago to Rustam Sharipov of the Soviet Union, also on the rings, just a little while ago.
He scored a 9.8 for this exercise. He had everything in this routine, powerful strength moves as well as swing. The opening move is called a whippet. Notice the control in the rings here. Very steady throughout this strength sequence. An inverted cross, a Maltese cross to an iron cross. 3 iron cross moves back to back to back.
How did they get to be that strong, Bart?
Well, you know, you'd think that most gymnasts use weight training, but if you spend 5 or 6 hours a day on those rings, you can certainly develop the upper body strength that's necessary. And notice the swing elements as well. He's not only strong, but he has excellent technique in the swing. Here's the big dismount. It's a triple. Nothing to it.
That's spectacular. Rustam Sharipov of the Soviet Union, 9-8 on that score on the rings, and we'll be back with more from Salt Lake City in a moment. Well, this is the men's all-around standings now. After 2 events, Racanelli and Kroll tied at 19.3. Sharipov of the Soviet Union at 19.25. And this is Emzar Puntashashvili. We've had a lot of different pronunciations on that one today, Bart.
Let's just call him the Punster.
Yeah, the Punster.
Very clean vault. That's the normal, standard style of vaulting as opposed to what we saw from his teammate. A laid-out Sukahara with a full twist. Nicely done. What's very important on this vault is the push off the horse right here. Boom! Notice he really extends. Very clean in the air.
How's he come back since those few early flaws in his performance?
Well, he looked pretty good on the vault. As you mentioned, he was a little shaky. It seems like the guys are a little bit nervous. They're overdoing things and then underdoing things. They haven't found the right niche yet.
You're looking at Scott McDonald right now from Canada, 20 years of age. Mississauga, Ontario. Puntashashvili with a 9.45. And now to the rings and Scott McDonald.
Scott came into this competition with a very badly sprained right ankle, so he hasn't been strong on floor exercise, and I expect he'll have trouble on vault. But on the upper body events, like the ring, he looks very good. Good combination sequence there into an iron cross. A little weak in that press to the handstand. The judges need to see that very crisp when he presses out, and a little shaky. It looks like he's about to fall out of that handstand. He hangs on nicely, and a full twisting double. Good landing. Considering he's really stinging on that ankle, I think he did a good job at holding it together on that dismount.
Scott McDonald of Canada in the North American team.
Here's the bail. Dislocate over the top, a complete giant swing, a double back with a full twist in the second flip. They call that a full out.
So Scott McDonald of Canada, his score will be up in just a moment as we take a look now at Lance Ringnald of the United States. And after that tough vault with the 9.0 score, he's got to really bounce back now on the next try.
Actually, Lance is getting ready to vault now. He's had a little trouble today earlier. Trouble on the pommel horse. Here's his Yurchenko-style vault. Beautifully done. Once again, it's very exciting to see the men using the same style of vaulting from the women. In many cases, the women take tricks from men's gymnastics. This is an example of how the men's sport has taken from the women's sport. Once again, notice how complex this move is. He does a roundoff on the floor. He's on the beat board backwards. Into the horse. Good push. A backflip with a laid-out twist. Lance is always really clean in the air.
Well, after a tough rotation on the pommel horse, he comes back on the vault and hits a nice one. By the way, McDonald with a 9.25 on the rings. And so Lance Ringnald currently in the fifth spot in the all-around competition after 3 events.
Lance has been a little bit flat this year. You know, since the '88 Olympics, he has been competing non-stop in all important international events, and that's one of the reasons he has the 6th place standing in the World Cup standings.
And the
But at
rings.
the same time, that's very difficult on him.
This is how it's finished up. Sharipov of the Soviet Union at 9.8, and Racanelli and Ringnald, and our friend the punster, Puntashavile, at 9.65, so they're all tied in that second position. The medal standings, you can see Europe with 7, North America with 2 in the gold, 3 to 8 in the silver, and 3 to 2 in the bronze. That's how it stands right here in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the gymnastics competition.
A live shot of Carl Lewis in his home in Houston, 6 times an Olympic gold medalist. We'll talk to Carl in a few moments.
But Bart Conner, I'm Roger Twibell, as we have reached into this competition now, the vault results. And Sylvio Kroll with a 9.65 getting the gold. Ringnald of the United States and Menendez of Cuba with the North American squad at 9.6. So very close in that competition right there. Meanwhile, we just had a situation here at the Huntsman Center as you look at the all-around standings after 4 events. And Bart, what happened?
This is Puntashavile, who's doing this move called a Kovacs, which is a double backflip over the bar. And notice it looks like he grabs it just where he wants it to be. And I don't know what happened. Oh, his left hand was just a little bit past the bar, and of course he couldn't hold on. He's okay.
And Felix Aguilera of Cuba will be next to perform on the parallel bars.
This is Aguilera's favorite event, and certainly his best event as well. He has really good long lines and a clean style and a lot of difficulty in this routine. What's important to look for is the straightness of his body line and his handstands. Beautiful straight arm peach to a handstand. Notice that clean long line. Nice extension. Good underbar work. He's had a problem being a little inconsistent. This routine is excellent, packed with difficulty. Strong exercise. That's going to score very well today.
That's 24-year-old Felix Aguilera of Cuba. And we'll look at him again.
On the parallel bars, it's important to fulfill the requirements of working below the bars and above the bars. And, of course, in every case, you have to stick that landing.
And we'll return with more from the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City. Men's gymnastics in a moment. World champion in the parallel bars.
Kroll has been very consistent today. This is a good opportunity to see unusual angle on the extension and the handstand positions. That move is called a back toss.
Kroll's won a gold in the vault already today.
He's right on top of those handstands. There's a Diamondov invented by the Soviet. Back toss right to the handstand. Nicely done. And a clean pike double back.
Sylvio Kroll, who's already won 2 golds today in the vault and the pommel horse. Now, Mike Racanelli will be next up on the high bar.
We're going to do something really unusual here. We've invited Peter Corman, Mike Racanelli's coach, to join us on this commentary. Peter is standing by as Mike gets ready to perform his routine on the high bar. Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, boy.
So if you'll just talk us through this routine, Peter, what's the key right at the beginning?
Well, Michael does a D mount. It's a shoulder, the round grip, pirouette, and that's the D, which is the hardest difficulty. And then he follows that with another D, another shoulder with a hop half turn. So those two tricks are kind of touchy, but Mike does them very well. Then he does his release skill after that. So here he goes. Let's see. This is his mount, his first D mount. That was excellent, right to a handstand. Tight, a little rough there, but he picked it up good. Spin his arms a little bit. Here comes his release skill. Now he's a little close to the bar, but he worked out of it good. Yeah, Mike's having a little trouble now. His rhythm was off at the second skill, and he's been rough throughout. He's picking it up now, though. Those are good eagles.
What does he need to do now, Peter?
He needs to land this dismount good, get a good stick, and get every 10th out of this he can. Okay, little hop, and not bad. All right, Mike. Little rough in the middle, but he pulled it out at the end.
Peter Corman, who himself a medalist in the '76 Olympics, floor exercise, and the coach and his protege. And let's see the results now in the parallel bars. And boy, that man right there who also leads in the overall, Rustam Sharipov right now, and Ringnald and Aguilera in the second spot. So the parallel bars completed, the all-around competition with that same Rustam Sharipov leading in the all-around. Sharipov of the Soviet Union right now leads after 5 events, a slim margin over Sylvio, Kroll, and the 2 Americans, Ringnald and Racanelli, are currently tied for 3rd after 5 events in the all-around. This is Aguilera of Cuba.
This is one of his best events. Nice one-arm giant swings to a reverse hack, right to a ginger. Terrific combination of release moves out of the one-arm giant. And another release move. A few years ago, you could get away with doing just one release move. And then a couple of years ago, it was you needed to do 2. Now you need to do 3 major release moves to be competitive. He did 3 beautifully. Here's his dismount. Boy, that's going to score well.
Nicely done by Felix Aguilera of Cuba, 24 years of age. Competed in the 1990 American Cup, but had to withdraw from the finals because of an injury, but came back in good form here.
This was really a terrific combination. Notice he's in the one-arm position. He's going to let go back over the bar. Second release move is a backflip with a half twist called a ginger.
The ginger?
The ginger, invented by Eberhard Ginger from West Germany. He continued through the exercise with terrific extension. His dismount, interestingly enough, is actually weak in terms of difficulty compared to the rest of the routine. He just did a laid-out double backflip, which is a C move, not the high level of a D move where you need to do a full twist to get the most difficulty in that dismount.
And a score of 9.65.
That's the reason for the score a little bit low, because he did water the dismount down a little bit.
Now, from East Germany and the European team, Sylvio Kroll. And Sylvio currently 2nd in the all-around.
We saw Sylvio just a couple of months ago on Wide World of Sports in U.S. versus East Germany in gymnastics from Memphis. He was winning the all-around going into this event, and he completely flew off the high bar, allowing Trent Demas from the U.S. to win. Here's the move where he had trouble. From the one arm. Nicely done. That's a ginger. He caught it beautifully. Once again, Kroll really tops off the handstand. Notice the extension right at the top as he finishes every move. Here comes the dismount, a double front with 1.5 twist. Clean dismount.
Sylvio Kroll of East Germany, a silver medalist in the vault at the '88 Olympics.
We've seen Kroll so many times look good in international competitions, but he tends to make mistakes, and they come right here on the high bar. Today, he handled it beautifully. From the one arm, it's a backflip with a half twist, and he catches exactly where he wants to be. And notice he maintained terrific form throughout the whole move.
Kroll currently 2nd in the all-around. This was his final event and with a chance to possibly capture yet another gold. He has already captured the gold in the vault and in the pommel horse, and his score of 9.75 for Sylvio Kroll of East Germany and the European team.
Our next competitor from Cuba, Raul Menendez.
And this is Raul Menendez of Cuba.
Very much like Kroll, Menendez has a good line and a good-looking style in gymnastics. He's quite tall for a gymnast, and you'll notice that he uses his extension to his advantage on the high bar. And one thing that I think is particularly interesting, notice his toe point. He has the toe point like a diver, more so than you see from most gymnasts. So 1.5 twisting release move, cleanly done. Look at the smooth, long swings. Very elegant-looking style. Look at the body line and the position. He doesn't rush. In a little bit close on that release move. But he maintained the rhythm of the exercise. That's very important. Here's the dismount. A full twisting double layout. Good landing.
That's Raul Menendez of Cuba and the North American squad. And we'll be back to wrap things up. The high bar, the all-around, the medal count in just a moment.
This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Scope, the best thing, first thing in the morning. And by Saab and your local Saab dealers, who invite you to test drive a car, not a compromise. Once again from Salt Lake City Gymnastics.
And welcome back to Salt Lake City, the gymnastics competition. The high bar, the final event has been finished up, and Lance Ringnald, the United States, the gold there. Kroll with the silver, Menendez with the bronze. So North America doing awfully well in the high bar competition. The medal standings, Europe with 10 gold, North America with 3, but 12 silver for North America and 4 bronze. The men's all-around competition, Sharipov of the Soviet Union, the winner there. Kroll of East Germany with the silver, and then Ringnald of the United States and the North American team with the bronze. And let's go to Bart Conner.
Thank you, Roger. I'm with Lance Ringnald. Lance, you had a little trouble at first on the pommel horse, a shaky start, but you really came on strong in the last few events.
Yeah, actually, I had a miss in the first 2 events, and that mentally affects you for later on. But as the events went on, I got more mentally strong, and I guess, and I really came back strong.
Well, let's look at your high bar performance, because you did score a 9.85, and it was a really strong routine. Talk us through this.
Okay, right here I'm thinking just relax, and I had to be aggressive here. And this was, whoa, it was a reacher. Okay, and I had to take an extra giant because I was a little far out. Usually I do 2 releases here, but I didn't have a secure grip right there. And right now I'm pretty relieved. You know, I got the releases done. I'm relaxing pretty well. I'm thinking just do it just like practice now. Get through nice and clean, and you'll be fine. And actually my dismount went out a little further than normal, so I thought, oh, there's something different, and I had to think about the landing a little extra hard. So right now I'm thinking, come on, stick it, and there it was.
So a strong performance and a strong finish for you, Lance. Michael Racanelli, a little trouble on the vault, but you came on strong at the end.
Oh, yeah. You know, a vault was a problem, and I had some problem in the warm-up, but, you know, I tried to get it and just go on. I did a good job.
Well, congratulations to both of you guys. Good luck in the future. Let's go back to Frank.
Thank you very much, Bart.
Thank you very much, Bart. Of course, we are getting close to the end of the U.S. Olympic Cup competition, so we'll take a final look at the medal count, the overall medal count, if you will. Very close competition. As you